He is known as Hitokiri Batosai, the Manslayer. In retribution for his deeds, he has taken an oath to protect the innocent and never kill again. But old memories seldom fade, and bad habits die hard.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the first Silver Reviews. Today we're going to be going over Rurouni Kenshin, and kind of what anime is in general. So, the first question we're going to answer is, what the heck is anime, and why is it so damn important? Anime is just a Japanese style of animation, and it's really just a cheaper way of making cartoons in comparison to American animation, which has higher budgets, works on getting character animations and story down pretty damn well. Anime is still kind of struggling in all those other aspects. And on top of all that, there seems to be a lot of trends running through different anime serials that alienate a lot of non-fans from getting into what anime really is. For example, having strange and weird colored hair, using various forms of shoutiness to take down enemies, having no defined gender, or at least making it appear like they have no defined gender, and being unbelievably awesome with giant massive swords the size of school buses. Seems like all we're really getting, though, is overcomplicated artwork, where I could just sit back and watch a marathon of Batman while he beats up Joker for a while. But hey, even the best of cartoons in America don't have the best animation, so stories gotta be where it's at, right? Well, not really. Certain things in the stories tend to alienate people too, such as too much Japanese humor, substandard plots in general, too much reliance on fan service, and all that mixed with the really crappy animation at times leads to some really questionable material. I could probably do a whole episode on all these topics, but I titled this the Rurouni Kenshin review, and I aim to stick to that. So what exactly does all this have to do with Rurouni Kenshin? One thing Kenshin does differently from a lot of other anime is the fact that it doesn't have a weird setting like in the future or in some distant alien planet. It's set in the late 1800s Japan, after the Tokugawa Wars during the Meiji era, a bunch of Japanese history, blah 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 blah. If that wasn't enough for you, the plot revolves around the character Rurouni Kenshin, the Hitokiri Batosai, which is Japanese for the really badass assassin. During the Tokugawa Wars I already mentioned, Kenshin ended up slitting the throats of a lot of rebels, and because of that, he wants redemption and has vowed never to kill again in order to get that redemption. However, he's also made some new friends during this peaceful time, and their lives are constantly being put into danger by thugs, criminals, and of course, evil big bads that he has to fight in some epic battles. And because of all these battles, he's pushed to his limits to a point where he may or may not break his vow. This series also does a pretty good job of not relying too heavily on fan service or Japanese humor. Those things aren't bad in context, but in a series it's supposed to be heavy-handed and have a lot of serious moments. It doesn't really work well. Japanese humor is kind of hit and miss if the translation's bad, or even if it's good. It doesn't really work in certain areas of the world because people just don't get it. And then of course fan service just kind of diminishes the seriousness of anything. So keeping that to a minimum for something like Kenshin was definitely a smart move on the animator's part. And the artwork is adequate. It took place in the 90s, so excusing it for dated artwork is kind of an okay thing here. I mean, artwork for anime nowadays is very much improved, or at least most of it has. Some of it. Okay, maybe a good handful of it has. But the point still is that comparing artwork of the 90s to artwork that we have now is like comparing Super Mario Bros. To Super Mario Galaxy. The graphics were pretty shit back then, but then again, so was the technology used to make it. But now I'm just rambling. So the real question is Kenshin good? And the answer is yes. I wouldn't have made it my first review to introduce people to anime if it wasn't the case. In fact, I think it's one of the best ones you can get, because it doesn't alienate people with all the weird stuff that anime usually does. The story's also very coherent, and hell, even the artwork is alright. For the most part, people can enjoy it, and it even has that little educational element to keep people interested a little more, and kind of teach a little bit about Japanese history, no matter how inaccurate it may be. So, this definitely gets my approval and my recommendation for anyone who's trying to get into anime, and wants to see what the whole thing's about. I will warn you, though, that the anime is kind of a downer when you get to Season 3. It's all just a bunch of filler, and the manga kind of continues the story and actually ends the whole Kenshin story with some kind of conclusion. So if you really want to see how the whole Kenshin story ends, I'd recommend reading the manga. If you just want to see some cool sword fights, I'd say go ahead and watch the anime. And of course, there's always the option of doing both. But, hey, we can't all have the free time to do everything. So, that's my take on it, and I hope you enjoyed this. There'll be plenty more to come, and I'll see you next time.